Louisiana Prep Report on WGSO 990 AM. This is Alan Yakubian along with my co-host Peter Dale. I want to thank today's producer, Daryl Ashley, and we've got the Chappelle head volleyball coach, Coach Randolph. You still there? Coach Ganoff, you there?
Yep, I'm right here.
And, Coach, we were just talking about the club sports. Let me ask you this. You had a stellar career playing volleyball. Did you actually play club volleyball?
I don't know. She played at Michigan. I know that.
Yeah, I played at the University of Michigan, and I did play club volleyball for 6 years. I started when I was in 7th grade and played all the way through, until I graduated high school.
Well, did you find that for you, because one of the criticisms that I hear is that either you're in or you're out, and really to be able to get that kind of exposure, you got to devote even more time. And I think a lot of these girls coming up, they feel like academically they've got enough demanded of them. Did you sometimes feel like it was a bit of a grind?
It was, and now that I'm kind of on the flip side, the coaching side, and seeing all these athletes going through all these different sports, and some of them play multiple sports in the summer, and I somehow managed to play all 3 sports in the summer. In all 3, I played volleyball, basketball, and softball, and I played AU basketball, club volleyball, and I played on a travel softball team. And I don't know how I managed my time, but somehow I did, and I was able to do all 3.
And you went to Michigan?
So, I understand it's hard, but it's possible.
Yeah, you almost have to really be in love with the sport. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But one of the criticisms that I have heard is that just for some of them, at least that play at the next level, all that traveling time can be much. But I guess for you, did you learn to budget your time? Did you have a social life? Tell me about it.
I guess sports kind of were my social life. Some of my best friends in high school were on my high school teams. Whatever season I was in at the time, those are the friends I hung out with the most. And then in the summers, just traveling and being with all different kind of girls from all different schools, not necessarily just my high school. I just found, a bunch of friendships that way too, and going on trips and tournaments on the weekends, it was just kind of like little mini vacations, it felt like.
Yeah, well, I think
we got to go to different cities, and you go with your friends. So
I think that's a little preparation for girls that are getting ready to go to college or anything, to start learning how to budget their time and everything. Is like, when you get in college, you got to study and you got to practice and you got to work everything else into your system or into the system that you're going to use. But you have to have those 2 set aside, study and practice.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is. You played for the University of Michigan, correct?
yes, I did.
And you coached at the University of Georgia, and
that was one of my stops. I had started coaching at University of New Orleans first.
UNO, that's right. I saw that.
Yeah, and then I went to University of Georgia for a season, and then also Samford University in Birmingham, Alabama.
Samford. Okay, Samford. Yeah, I hear a lot about this school. Plenty of people get that mixed up with Stanford, and they think it's the same school.
Yeah.
But it is. It's a SAM and a STAN.
Some people do that intentionally too.
But let me ask you a question, Coach. How would you compare Big Ten volleyball, Southeastern Conference volleyball, Conference USA volleyball, and everybody always says the real volleyballs, and I can't attest to this because I've never seen it except on TV, but everybody says that volleyball is at its elite on the West Coast. What do you think about that? Is that correct?
It's pretty, legit. That's what they do definitely year-round, indoor and outdoor. They have that ability, obviously, to play outdoors, almost the entire year. And then as well in the fall, you have your indoor season, too. I think they just get a lot more opportunity, where they are, in location in the country. But the Midwest is also extremely strong, which is why, the Big Ten Conference is, I would say, one of the top. Some people argue, but, I think it's the best, and not just because I played in it. Year after year, you just see so many Big Ten teams getting in the NCAA tournament, 6 or 7, teams at a time some years. Mm-hmm. And people can debate back and forth, but the West Coast, versus the Midwest are, two areas that are extremely, talented and strong with volleyball for sure.
Yeah, and another thing down here, when you say volleyball, everybody immediately thinks girls sport, but volleyball is on the West Coast and in other places. Men's volleyball, like I watch the Olympics, and I am always astonished. Let me tell you, I'm amazed at what these girls can do when they play in volleyball. They got to be.
Oh yeah.
They got to be gymnasts and everything, and keep the ball in play.
Yeah, it's definitely. I think it's a very unique sport. It's one of the only sports you can't actually hold the ball except for when you serve, and you get one quick touch on it. And, you have to somehow get it to go in the right direction with that, second-long contact on the ball. And, it's very different. It's very team-oriented. I think it's the ultimate team sport. Again, another argument for some people. But, you can't hide in the game of volleyball. There's no way you can hide a person.
You're right there. There's six people and the ball's coming to you eventually, and you got to do something with it, and it better be right.
I know, Coach, we said we're going to have some callers, and we've got a few, but Pete and I always have a tendency to talk a little bit because that's why we're on Talk Radio. It's all about talking. Before we bring on our first caller, and I do see the lines are kind of lit up right now, tell us what, in terms of practice, is it do you pretty much focus on scrimmaging? How do you guys handle really focusing on the fundamentals and keeping your team, tight?
I focus a lot on individual skills once we start the season of actually playing. I do the club season a little differently than my high school season because club is a little bit more individualized because these kids are trying to just, keep their skills up to go back to their high school season and, bring all their their talent and the skills they've learned to their high school teams. During my high school season, we do a lot of team-based, drills and competition. And then once I get into the season deep, I can kind of pick out a few individual skills for certain girls, and we work on those. And then we'll go into like a competition at the end of practice and transfer those drills.
Coach, I'm asking you to hold on to your thoughts there. We got to go to another hard break here, and when we come back, I want two things. We're going to go to George from New Orleans and see what he's got to ask you. He's on the line. He's the first one on the line we're going to get, and I want to eventually get into how do you teach these girls to play ball and hit those balls, and how do they? What type of theory do you use so that they keep that ball in play? So we'll get back to that stuff when we come back on the other side of these messages. Ladies and gentlemen, you listen to WGSO 990 AM, Louisiana Prep Report. Thank you for tuning in.